Hello and welcome. Let's dive into two words that get mixed up all the time, but have totally different meanings, especially if you're working in science: accuracy and precision. Ready? Let's get right into it. Hello and welcome. Let's dive into two words that get mixed up all the time, but have totally different meanings, especially if you're working in science: accuracy and precision. Ready? Let's get right into it.
So, I've got a question for you. When it comes to your results, are you actually accurate? Are you precise? Or, let's be honest, have you just been getting a little bit lucky? It's a tough question, I know, but figuring out the answer is absolutely crucial, especially when the stakes are high.
And this is usually where the confusion starts. You see, it's totally possible to be accurate without being precise. And you can definitely be precise without being accurate. They're like two different sides of the same coin when it comes to the quality of your measurements.
Okay, this classic target analogy makes it all crystal clear. Look at that first one: accurate, not precise. The shots are kind of all over the place, but they're centered around the bullseye. So on average, you're on target. Now check out the second one: precise, not accurate. All the shots are tightly packed together, but they completely miss the bullseye. You're being super consistent, but consistently wrong. And then, of course, there's the goal, right? Accurate and precise. All your shots are in a tight little group, right smack in the middle of the bullseye. That's the sweet spot.
So let's get a little more formal for a second. Accuracy is all about how close your measurement is to the real, true value. It's basically a measure of correctness. Think about it like this. If a recipe calls for 500 grams of flour and you measure out 501 grams, that's pretty darn accurate. The closer you are, the more accurate you are. Simple as that. Now, precision, that's a whole different beast. Precision doesn't really care about the true value at all. It's all about consistency, repeatability. So back to that Baker scale. What if every single time you put a 500-gram weight on it, it reads 520 grams over and over and over? Well, that scale is incredibly precise. It's not accurate, not at all, but it is super repeatable. And this points to something important. Being inaccurate usually means there's a systematic error, like a tool that's not calibrated right. Being imprecise, that's usually caused by random little variations you can't predict. And listen, this is a fun little from being absolute must-know in the world of lab method validation. This is where it gets really serious. And if you happen to work in a lab that follows good manufacturing practice, or GMP, well, the stakes get even higher. We're not just talking about internal goals anymore. We're talking about strict regulatory requirements, where getting it wrong has some pretty major consequences.
So why is this so critical? It really boils down to three huge things. First, you've got to meet the expectations of regulatory agencies. Second, you need to have absolute confidence in your method validation. And third, it's all about keeping your entire lab in compliance. In a pro setting, there's just no room for error here.
So, how do you really master this stuff and feel confident about it? It's not about just memorizing definitions. It's about getting it in your gut so you can diagnose problems. For instance, if your results are imprecise, you know to hunt for random errors. But if they're inaccurate, you start investigating issues, like your equipment. It's that problem-solving mindset that's so key.
Mastering this has a real effect on your career. First, you're building a fundamental skill that's gold in any scientific job. That directly helps you boost compliance and the quality of your work, which is always priority number one. And when you put those two together, you become the go-to person on your team, the pro that everyone trusts when the results absolutely have to be right.
And for those of you who are in that lab environment and want a clear path to building these skills, a resource like the Laboratory Method Validation Foundational course at PharmUni is designed to do exactly that.
It's really a great way to go deeper and make sure your methods are rock solid. Just an option for anyone who wants to take their skills to that next level and really, validate like a pro. And that brings us right back to where we started. Now that you really get the difference, think about it. Are the results you depend on, whether it's in the lab or just in life, built on real skill and understanding? Or has it been a little bit of luck? Choosing to be both accurate and precise, well, that's what separates the hobbyist from the pro.